Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? We are live for the first time in a year and a half, I think. It's a very rare occurrence. And today, we have an even rarer occurrence, actually. I think it is a first time in channel history that it's not just me who's here with you. I brought some guests. And I know what you're thinking. Evan, I subscribed to the Evan God channel for you. I want to see your lovely face. I want to hear your sexy voice. Why would you bring in these other people who would take away from your well-deserved and God-given screen time? Well, I think you're completely right. I think you're absolutely right. And normally, I would agree with you 100%. But the people I've brought with me today, they're pretty cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest, he is a well-traveled man between anime conventions and seasonal anime. He is the guy who digs through the dirt so that he can find gold. And he does it all for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's RJ.
What's up, guys? I'm glad to be here. That was a nice introduction. That was a nice introduction.
Thank you, thank you. I've been practicing.
Cool.
I've been practicing.
That was nice.
And of course, we have another guest with us. Though he's only a newly appointed father, in the hearts of everyone in the manga community, he's always been our daddy. Ladies and gentlemen, Manga Crash.
Daddy Manga Crash.
Daddy.
I feel like a wrestler with these intros. Very nice.
I felt like I had to put on a ceremony. So it's the first time and everything. But yeah, so what we are going to do today, as you may be able to see on your screen and in the title, we are going to talk about the NEXT Manga Awards. This is a yearly awards put on in Japan, though in recent years it has been opened up to international voting. This is all about finding the brand new manga, the hottest of the hot off the presses. Yeah, genuinely, if you are reading any of these brand new manga nominated in the NEXT Manga Awards, I think it's safe to say that you are one of the cool kids. And speaking of cool kids, Crash, RJ, how does it feel to be on the very cutting edge right now?
I say it feels good. I don't know. I normally, don't read manga. I'm on the other side of the spectrum now, right?
What the hell, man?
I went from watching anime to reading manga. Have I matured? Like
Yes,
Yeah.
you finally got here. I actually don't read ongoings a lot either. So the ones I normally caught up with that are recent are the Weekly Shonen Jump titles, because that's the thing I normally talk about on my channel. Other than that, I actually don't tend to read ongoing. So it was fun to go through some of the nominees here.
Yeah, now you guys can be, those guys. The ones who read it way before the anime, or way before it was ever popular. And then you can say that, and then everyone will love you and adore you. Or, they will go on Twitter and call you a poser and say that it was never that underground to begin with. But either way, the flip side of that would be the grey, depressing state of your favorite manga never becoming one of the popular guys and then ending after like 3 volumes. That can also happen.
It's a life hack
Yeah.
for me because I get to read upcoming manga and then I can do a video on it, and then when the anime comes out, it's like boom, haha, see, I have proof. I told you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking of doing that myself, sort of doing the the manga reader react or tells you what you should watch in the upcoming season. I feel like I should really cash in on that sometime
Do
soon.
it. Do it.
But yeah, so I'm gonna switch over to the little website that I should have some. There we go. So this is the Next Manga Awards, and as I said, we only have the newest of the new here. They do have a few criteria for who can actually be nominated for the awards, and I believe what is it? It's you either have to have 5 volumes or less out in Japan right now, or it has to have started serialization in 2022 or later. So even the manga that you may consider to be, new-ish, like, like Frieren or Dan Da Dan or Sign of Affection, anything like that, even those would honestly be too old to be eligible in these awards. But those have usually come up in previous years. This is sort of a awards show that is famous for, predicting the future, so to say, by telling you what the next mega hit should be. And I think to start this off, we can go ahead and look at a few of the past winners from previous years. So if I go to 2022, we have from the print category, number 1 was Medalist, which is, I absolutely adore Medalist. It's such a great sports manga. Have any of you read it?
No, I have not, but I've heard great things about it.
Yeah.
It's the ice skating one, right?
Yeah, it's the figure skating one, and I believe it has an anime upcoming sometime
It
soon.
does. So you'd expect me to be on it when that when that drops.
Yeah, I'll be there to tell you how late you are to the party when that time comes. And yeah, then second place was Witch Watch, and third place was Akane Banashi, so some Shonen Jump representation in there as well.
Yeah, I think Shonen Jump always gets a little bit of representation.
Yeah, I've sort of noticed that as well. There's usually at least one weekly Shonen Jump winner in the Prince category.
And even the ones that don't win, they generally are like top 10, top 15.
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see that this year as well. But we'll get to that later. They also...
Witch Watch has stayed around as long as it has.
Witch Watch is amazing. What the hell are you talking about?
I read the first 5 chapters and I was like, oh, that's funny. And then it is what it is now. I'm happy for it.
Yeah, it also helps that the mangaka is kind of popular. There from Skatance and Astra. They're both quite popular titles.
See, I didn't know it was the same guy that wrote Skatance and Astra.
Yeah. I quite liked Astra. I never really
Astra is amazing.
Got into
Astra is amazing.
I never really got into Witch Watch though. It was kind of wordy.
Yeah, that it is.
But yeah, they also separate these awards between the print category and the web category. Print category being the manga that are printed in traditional magazines, such as, for example, Weekly Shonen Jump, Weekly Shonen Magazine, etc., etc. And the web category can really be anything that has been published digitally, either in official digital magazines like Jump Plus or Tonari no Young Jump, or it could really be self-published on their own websites. I know several of the manga nominated have been published primarily on Twitter. Yeah, in 2022, the winner of the web category was Behind the Supermarket Smoking With You. I believe the English name of the manga is. Really, really comfy reads. I really like that.
It's been on my read list for a minute now, because everyone and their mother has recommended it to me. I mean, from a bunch of people doing videos on it to just Twitter in general. It looks interesting. It looks like an interesting read.
Yeah, it's just incredibly chill and nice vibes, you know. Let's see. We can move on to 2021. Here we also have some familiar faces. We have Oshinoko in first place, which, you know, it's some of you may have heard of it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't like it much. But
you don't like Oshinoko.
I don't like it. It's not that I don't like Oshinoko. I think it's an okay manga. It's good, but I think I don't get how it got as popular as it is.
Yeah, I think
That's
it
just
was
my opinion.
it was kind of a combination probably of, you know, the author being just the hottest shit at the time, and yeah, just a lot of hype building up over time. We also had Frieren in third place, which we'll probably hear more about that very soon. Anime coming out in fall.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Frieren is a manga I did read before the anime came out, so I do know about it. I did read Frieren, so
congratulations.
Yeah, I'm one of you.
Yeah, I read the first volume only. It was fun.
Yeah, I really like that. In second place, we have some Uma Musume manga. I think we all know at least one person who would be very happy with those results. I don't have much to say about that. Let's move on to the 2020. Oh, actually, I forgot.
Digital. What about the digital?
Yeah, also some familiar faces here. Kaiju number 8 in first place, Dan in second place, and Senpai is Otokonoko.
I just want to say, as someone who never read Kaiju 8, I just want to ask, how the hell did it got first place when Dan is just right there?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one, but it is what it is.
As someone who is reading Kaiju number 8 and is thinking about dropping it every single week, yeah, I actually don't know how it beat Dandadan at all, especially because Dandadan starts it's such a good hook from the first chapter. Like, how? I don't know.
Yeah.
How?
It's so incredible. Kaiju number 8, I think it's a really good binge read, but immediately when I started to read it weekly, I just fell right off it. At the time of these awards, I believe Kaiju number 8 had been in serialization a lot longer than Dandadan had, so that might have had something to do with it. But yeah. Moving on to 2020, we have Undead Unluck in first place.
Yeah, my boy.
And then we had, from here on, it's all in Japanese because at this point it wasn't open for international voters. So this kind of becomes a quiz to see if I can recognize these from the cover. Second place was the 100 Girlfriends That Really, 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 Really Love You. I might have gotten a few reallys too short there, but and then we have When Will Ayumu Make His Move, I believe.
The only one I've seen is Ayumu, and I watched the anime for that one. It was a nice slice life romance. If you like the author of Takagi-san and his work, then just, you know,
it definitely has that really wholesome slice of life vibes. Web manga, we have this would be The Dangerous Life of My Heart, I believe, which just had an anime adaptation. I think this is the ramen one. I don't quite remember the name of that in second place, and I don't know what this third place is. Maybe one of you guys can enlighten me.
No, I sadly cannot. I haven't seen any of the. I think I've seen the first place. I think I've seen some pictures of it, but the others I don't know.
Dangerous in My Heart, I once again watched the anime that came out this year. Rough start, a little start, but it was one of those where you fall in love with each episode as it goes on. It was really good. I know a bunch of people that kept continuing to read the manga. I'm gonna wait for season 2 because it was announced. So
a few years ago, I tried reading it and I fell completely off after the first volume. Then I went on to watch the anime, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's one of those where you start off and you're just like, I don't know, but you keep watching it. You're just like, okay.
2019. This is maybe a bit of a controversial one. We have in first place the Apothecary Diaries, and in second place a little unknown underground series called Chainsaw Man. I think I think Apothecary Diaries deserved it. So, yeah.
I haven't read it, but you probably know my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited for this one because I've heard so many good things from actual Chainsaw Man fans. Like a bunch of Chainsaw Man fans actually love Apothecary Diaries. It's like weird how intertwined they are.
Yeah.
But I've heard so many good things about Apothecary Diaries. The anime, of course, once again, it's gonna be. I'm gonna be a broken record. I'm waiting for the anime.
No, I really like Apothecary Diaries. I don't necessarily think it deserved to win over Chainsaw Man, but yeah, it's. I think Chainsaw Man was very new at the time. I think it had probably only been in serialization for a few months.
Chainsaw Man came out. It came out like December of 2018. So yeah.
Yeah, so it had been like not even half a year. Let's see, and then Web, Spy Family, in first place. And I don't quite know what these others are. Oh shit, now we're in Japanese territory. I have to navigate. Okay. 2018. We're just gonna speed through this because we are spending a lot of time on this. I believe this is Yakuza Lover.
I don't know the title, but I definitely know the author, and she wrote one of my favorite Jose manga, so I have to read that one eventually.
Which was that?
I think it's
Aru's Curse.
Oh, okay, yeah, I've read that.
I think there's one called the Yakuza Bride or something. It's on my read list.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I think it's Yakuza Lover, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And yeah, Dr. Stone in second place. And,
always good.
I don't. Yeah, like we said, a lot of Shonen Jump representation usually in these lists, and Dr. Stone certainly not undeserving. And then for the web one for 2018, we have My Senpai is Annoying, A Man and His Cats, and
I got the first volume of that the other day. I haven't read it. It's serving as the tower for my camera right now.
And then lastly we have Way of the House Husband.
My Senpai is Annoying. I watched the anime for it. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. My Way of the House Husband, I did not watch the anime for it. I read some of the manga though. It was also funny.
I see someone asking in chat if we could look at some of the lower rated placements as well. I think we would be here all day if we're gonna do that, and we actually have to get on to the 2023 show. I see that in 11th place we actually have Jigokuraku, Hell's Paradise.
Yeah. And the 10th place we got that one.
Oh yeah,
with the girl with the big boobs that everyone on Twitter got mad at.
And beat Hell's Paradise.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Okay, but yeah, the point. Oh no, I'm in Japanese territory now. What do I do?
Just change GP.
There we go. I got it. I got it.
I'm watching a little bit of delay.
Yeah, so the point here is that, I mean, a lot of these, sort of, we know them. And we probably didn't know them at the time that they won, so this does have a tendency to predict the future, so to say. But yeah, so what we are going to do now is that we are going to look at some of the 2023 nominations. And the way we sort of did this was each of us had a look at all the nominees, and then we picked out a few that we thought were interesting that we wanted to check out. So I kind of want to hear with you guys, how did you go about picking out which ones you wanted to read?
That was so hard. So basically, I just checked your list. I tried to find stuff because you shared your my analyst or your analyst actually, so I could see what you had read. So I tried to pick some that you hadn't read, unless there was something there like the cover was really appealing. I ended up somehow picking a bunch of like rom-coms. That was what happens. I didn't like most of them. That mostly rom-coms was what I read. Then I saw that there was one horror manga. That one I had to read.
Yeah, and then you probably had a few that you'd read from before, right?
Yeah, mostly the Jump ones. The
Yeah.
Shonen Jump ones.
And RJ?
Yeah, so I actually sat down and I read all the descriptions of all of them.
Oh wow, you did
Yeah.
more than me then. I compiled the entire list.
Yeah, I sat down, I read the description of all of them because I didn't want to miss like any good ones. And I just picked the like I think like 10 or 5 from each. I picked the ones I was interested in and just went from there. I didn't get a chance to read all 10 chapters of all of them. Sometimes there were like 1 chapter, sometimes there were 2. Some of them I did drop just because I was like, nah. But yeah, that's what I did. And then of course there were some I already did read. If it's on like Manga Plus or Shonen Jump, then I probably already read it.
Yeah. I was also kind of sad that some of them looked very interesting, and then they weren't like translated anywhere officially or not.
Yeah.
That
did.
sucks.
We did run into that problem a
I ran
bit.
into
There
those.
were even a lot of them weren't even on any lists at all. I couldn't find them.
Yeah.
So those we'll just have to see in the future. Maybe they'll get popularity later. I'm still waiting for a Colore Creare translation. It's been a year and a half, and I'm still waiting.
Man, if I start like naming the manga series that I'm waiting translations of, I'll be here all year.
But yeah, I think we can just jump into it now then. I think, do you guys want to start with the print section or the web section first?
I think I read more. Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that not because we read more. I think like the main events are always the print, so maybe we can leave that for later. That was my idea.
Yeah,
Good.
sure.
Good.
I can't agree with that. So let's go on to the web section. And I was sort of considering whether I wanted to read all these off before we started. But I don't think I will. There are a lot of them. So yeah, I think how should we start this? Should we just maybe go down each of us and we each sort of pick one and we'll talk a bit about it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Go on our list.
Okay, RJ, why don't you start us off?
Okay, let me bring back up my list. 60 seconds. Hold on. See which one I did. Actually, okay, here's a controversial one. After God. I'm gonna start with After God.
Okay, I think that's actually one that all 3 of us have read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Artwork, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't know if it was the translation. It might have been the translation. I didn't enjoy it. I thought I read like the first 4 chapters, and I thought it was very exposition heavy.
Yeah.
I was waiting for them to get to it, and it was also a little confusing.
Well, I think especially the first chapter was very confusing.
Yeah, the first chapter was very confusing with like it was just like twist after twist, like, no, I'm bad, no, I'm gonna kill you, no, I'm gonna, and it was confusing and with the paneling and like kind of the story in general. So artwork was really pretty and the concept was really interesting. That's why, I'm pretty sure we all read the concept and was like, oh, let's check that out, right? But I didn't enjoy it. I might keep reading. I think it has potential, but it was probably my biggest disappointment on the list because it was one I was most excited for.
Yeah, I was really drawn in by the cover art. I think it looks so interesting. But I ended up reading about the first volume, and yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp as you. The first chapter was very eventful. A lot happened. As you said, maybe a bit confusing, but I think it did a good job of sort of getting you into it. But then, pretty much the entirety of the rest of that volume was just exposition, just talk after talk after talk about how the world works, how this organization is built up, and yeah, it was a lot, and I didn't feel compelled to read more of it, even though I do think it is still interesting, and I kind of want to get back to it. But Crash, I think you read most of any of us,
Yeah.
right, of this one?
Yeah, I read like volume and a half, maybe 2 volumes. I liked it. I mean, I'll agree that the beginning is the most interesting part, and then it kind of like slowly becomes kind of like just a battle shonen with some horror elements. Like the first chapter really feels like this is going to be a horror manga, and then it's just a battle shonen. But I do think, especially like later on, it starts bringing back some of those elements that are like interesting, like the gods, because the interesting part of this manga is the concept, like these gods that you can't see on camera. They turn you into water, basically killing you, but people who come across them feel like so happy that they die happy, and there's this old thing about like death and everything, and it's just kind of like dropped midway through like the first volume, because
it's
building.
It's very Lovecraftian in a way, which is super interesting. Yeah. Just these higher beings that you can't possibly understand, that just drives you crazy when you interact with them. It's really, really cool.
So I'm waiting for more of them to appear, because I think that the point where I stopped was right around when an actual like god appeared with the main character. That was interesting. But that was like chapter 15 something. But I'm waiting to see if it gets better now, because it definitely had a dip after the first couple of chapters.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you want to go next, Crash?
Oh, me. I have two. I want to talk. I guess we could start with Sessin and Cinderella, just because it's also on the screen.
Yeah, sure.
I read this one. I'm not gonna like lie. The cover is very horny.
Yeah. I would say the manga is very horny as well.
The manga is very horny, and that was interesting. That was the interesting thing I wanted to talk about. Like the manga is like super horny, but it's I mean, I'm not saying like the manga is good or anything, but it's in a different way than most, because the mangaka before writing this one did a bunch of like yaoi and BL manga. So this is like a shonen manga where the girl is like basically your generic hot girl of shonen, that she's there for like the fan service. But then the guy is the generic guy from shoujo who's also just there for fan service. Like there's a lot of like fan service with the guy where he's like shirtless and like this mysterious hot dude is flirting with her. And it's like interesting how I think it's the first manga I see where these like two generic characters, I guess, from different demographics are joining together. And I don't think it was intentional, but it was interesting. Yeah, I definitely recommend this one if you're like bisexual and very horny.
When I was reading it, I was very surprised when I learned that it was a shonen, because it's like you said, especially the guy gives a really strong like josei shoujo hero vibes, and I would say it's horny in the same way that sort of a risque book for housewives is horny. So it's horny in the same way 50 Shades of Grey is horny.
Exactly. Which is very horny.
I read the first 3 chapters, and this is one I already read prior to you inviting me up here.
Oh wow.
Because I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, "That looks horny. Let me check
Yeah.
that out." And yeah, it was an interesting read. Very, very, very horny. It was just like, okay, because this is the one where like the 2 assassins are trying to kill each other, right?
Yeah, or
Or
Yeah,
yeah,
the
kinda.
spy and the assassin.
the
It's
spy and the assassin are trying to kill each other. Yeah. Because I remember people were recommending this manga when Spy X Family was at its height when the anime came out. It's like, well, here's horny Spy X Family.
Yeah, this is definitely made for Spy X Family because of Spy Family popularity, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. I didn't continue it, but yeah, if I agree
yeah,
with Crash. If you're bisexual and you're horny, this seems like the manga for you.
yeah. It's interesting. It's a new kind of horny, a horny we're
Hmm.
not used to seeing in manga. So yeah, I think for some people that might be the biggest seal of approval you can possibly give. Let's see. I can pick out one. I think I'm gonna go with the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. I don't think either of you read this, right?
No, but it's been on my read list for a minute now because
Actually,
I think I follow the artist on Twitter.
Hmm.
I think I've seen some of that. Now, actually, oh, you know what? I think I saw like some pages on horror manga because it gets recommended.
Yeah.
I don't actually go to horror manga, but it somehow still finds the way into my phone. And I think I've seen some pages of that, and it looked interesting.
Yeah, so this was actually one of the ones that I had read before starting this. And yeah, I think it's probably one of the most popular ones on this list. And this is one of the ones I think is. I know it's at least partly published on Twitter. I don't know if that's the only place it's serialized at, but yeah, it kind of releases in just 4 pages at a time, usually about weekly. And yeah, one thing I really love about this manga is the colors. So they have like normal manga art, but then they have only this green color that they use all the time to sort of use it to make contrasts, and it gives a really cool effect to the entire thing.
The cover does look pretty cool.
Yeah, and the entire series sort of looks like what you see on the cover here.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just a really wholesome story as well. Sort of, I would call it Yuri, but it doesn't really feel just the same as Yuri, though I guess it technically is. There's a lot of Yuri manga on this nomination list, but I really, really like this one. It's sort of two girls coming together over their shared love for music, and just very, very cute overall. So I think this is a very strong contender for possibly taking home a prize in this one.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay, RJ, you got another one?
I don't know the English name. It's called Fundari Ketai Ashitai.
Yeah, I don't. It probably doesn't have an English name because I don't think it has an official translation.
Yeah.
But I think here, stepping on, kicking, loving is what they've. I think auto-translated it to.
Okay.
But yeah.
This is probably my favorite read. Absolutely loved this one. I don't know what demographic it falls under. I'm gonna assume Josei.
Yeah, I think it looks like Josei. And when you say that, I really regret not reading it because this was on my list of the ones I wanted to check out but didn't have the time to do.
Yeah, this was funny enough. I read like the first 2 chapters and I saw it was on the list and I was like, well, if there's any time to continue reading it, it's now. And I did, and I absolutely fell in love with it. This is probably my favorite read of the entire list. It's an adult romance, very mature story, and it's one of those relationships. someone who has been on like anime has been on the shonen romance binge, right? Like ever since like Horimiya blew up, it's been wholesome romance after wholesome romance. Maybe you'll get a Nagatoro in there teasing somewhere, but 9 times out of 10, even Nagatoro is still wholesome compared to something like this. And it's interesting to read like josei manga because they capture the actual mature sense of an adult romance, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Like it was an actual pleasure to read because it was like, oh, this is more nuanced. It's not completely all wholesome fantasy, which there's a time and place for wholesome fantasy. But if you want an actual mature adult romance, I definitely recommend reading this one. Little toxic at times. I, who doesn't like a little toxicity? It does like a little toxicity.
Can you give us
Absolutely love
a brief summary?
So basically, the two on the cover are friends. Homegirl's an office worker, and she comes to this bar, and they talk. And at the same time, they've talked about like how they're close and how they're both a man and a woman, and people expect them to be dating, but they don't really want to date. And then one night, the dude comes on to her, and they sleep together, and their relationship is forever changed after that. And they're trying to navigate whether is this closeness romantic or is it just a really really good friendship. And yeah,
Yeah,
so
awesome.
That's
I'll definitely check
Very
this out then. In the
I kind
near
of just
future.
want to. The thing you were saying about a wholesome manga, also some rom coms. Yes, I feel like that's been mostly all the rom com like shonen and seinen rom coms of like the past few years
Yeah.
that get popular. I don't read most of them because the ones I read for this video, even and Cinderella is that, even though it's super horny, it's very very wholesome.
Mhm.
I'm kind of tired. Even though I haven't read many of them, I just kind of tired that
Yeah.
that's the only thing we see.
Yeah, it's a good formula, but it's becoming too much like at this point.
Yeah.
And it just like I'm tired of I want something different with my romance at this point.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I absolutely feel that as well. It's sort of shoujo and josei romance manga have really not gotten the love that they deserve, and that's usually where you find sort of a different take on romance than what gets popular with especially the shonen side of things. But we've seen quite a few shoujo manga or even some josei manga gets a lot more popular lately, and even getting some anime adaptations. I think I mentioned earlier the Sign of Affection is right around the corner.
Yeah.
That thing is huge. So we might be sort of on the verge of a renaissance.
I hope so, because we had like shonen shoujo was like pretty popular till like the mid 2000s, and then it just drifted off for like 10-15 years.
Mhm.
It's time to come back.
I hope it does. I hope it does. Right.
Is it my turn?
Cautious turn.
Yeah, so I guess we can just also go to the one that is on the images. Yes, you're selecting it. Actually, this thing is rated. But yeah, 100 Ghost Stories to Die For. Sorry, I'm looking at the actual stream, so the screen is a little bit delayed. But yeah, 100 Ghost Stories to Die For. That was the one horror manga that I saw. I was like, I need to read it. I had read another manga from this author. He wrote like a 3-chapter horror story, which was pretty fun. And this one is like kind of like a compilation where every chapter is a different horror story. And they're kind of short. They're like, the horror story itself is like 9, 10, 11 pages, not much more than that. And because they're so like bite-sized, they're pretty easy to consume. And I'm not gonna say like most of them are like amazing, but some of them are pretty good. Especially one thing that I liked was that one story, because this is a web manga, one story in like the mid like 20 something chapters uses like a GIF pages in the final pages. It's only used once in the middle of like the run of the series, so you're not expecting it. and reading it like 3 a.m. in the middle of the night was pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess they can do that when it's a digital manga. That's really cool.
Is the title self-explanatory? Like, is that what the manga is about?
Yeah, the manga is like about this kid who's telling 100 ghost stories. Not all stories are actually like ghost stories, though, but I'd say like 90% of them are. So yeah, I assume this is gonna have like 100 chapters. Right now, it has like 50 or something.
Oh,
And there's technically an actual story growing to the chapters because the kid, like the first pages are about like the kid introducing you to the story, and then the final pages are like the kid saying goodbye. But there's always like something happening with the kid and with the family, and it gets, the story of the kid gets a little bit more development as the chapters go further, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you like horror manga, I know like MDP Psycho or something got pretty popular, which is just also a bunch of ghost stories. I haven't read that one, but I've read some other manga from that mangaka, and most of their stories are like just spooky ghost faces.
Yeah,
this one.
I think I have
Sorry.
a short story collection of him, and he is it's a bit strange.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd say this one is like definitely better because most stories are actual like stories with beginnings and ends. And there's like a couple of them that have like such an impactful like plot twist at the end that yeah, as a horror lover, I really enjoyed reading it. I was like, I wanted to read like 10 chapters and then move on, and I read all 50, 51, wherever there are.
Awesome. That is high praise. Okay. I think I will go for Kindergarten Wars. Because this was one that I really, really liked from what I read. And did you read that, RJ? Was it so?
Yeah, I read like the first 20-something I think I'm like 10 chapters from being caught up.
Yeah.
I've read a lot.
This manga feels like the author read Sakamoto Days and said, I want to do that too.
Yeah.
and I'm not complaining because Sakamoto Days is delightful. So yeah, it's pretty much just Sakamoto Days in a kindergarten where these sort of assassins and killers from all around the world are set on duty to guard this kindergarten from any outside murderers who want to come and kill the children. And it uses the same kind of humor that Sakamoto Days does in just making these on paper really horrible murders and frankly horrible people just goofballs, and I love that. So what did you think, RJ?
I think this is one of the mangas that I would say has just such a fun concept. You read it because you read the synopsis and you're like, a bunch of assassins taking care of a bunch of rich people's children. You're just like, that sounds hilarious. And it is, and it delivers. The action is great. The artwork is simplistic, but it works.
Yeah, it's very cartoony. It has
very cartoony. Yeah.
I think it sort of follows almost what I would say is a recent trend of very like thick lines. In especially shonen manga, which often gives it a very, like as I said, cartoony and fun feel to it.
And it's very over the top and out of this world, but still grounded at the same time. Like, no one has a superpower, but you'll see people, oh my god, they're so strong, they kicked a bus, and it's just like, yeah, that's not possible, but okay. It's like one of those. It's like one of those fun. Like, if you like the action from like you said, Sakamoto Days or like Spy Family, you know, where they don't have superpowers, but they're doing like superhuman stuff. You would love Kindergarten Wars. It's a really fun read. It's just a fun time. Like,
yeah,
and it's definitely getting an anime. This.
Oh
is
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the concepts.
This is from
Yeah, I think
It's definitely.
this is from Jump Plus. It's popular. This is sort of a shoe-in, I think, in a year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the ones that are going to win. I think it's the one I heard the most about in all the nominees of like. I'm kind of sad I didn't use this as a chance to read it because I think I'd enjoy it.
Yeah, it seems up your alley. But okay, RJ, will you take it from that? Do you have another?
Oh wow. Okay, I only have one more on my list that we haven't talked about.
Okay. I think
Isekai
I-
Samurai,
There we
or
go.
I guess Samurai from another.
Yeah.
So there were enough isekai on the list where I was just like, fine, let me see what isekai is cooking, right? Checked it out, and because I like samurai, I love samurai and the whole culture around it. So checked it out, and it was actually fairly interesting. Did not know that the samurai on the cover was a female samurai. That was interesting to find out. And basically, what it's about is this female samurai is trained by her father to be like the greatest samurai of all time. Her final mission is to I guess minor spoilers, one, kill her father, which she does, and then go to war and die on the battlefield in honor. Really samurai-esque culture is kind of their whole thing, was to die on the battlefield in honor. But if you live, then that's dishonorable. You were supposed to die. And she was so good that she lived. And so she wanders basically Edo, Japan, looking for a strong samurai to kill her. None can kill her. And then she wishes upon Buddha, says, take me to a world where people are strong enough to actually fight me. And I guess Buddha heard her and took her to the typical fantasy isekai world where she's looking for strong opponents. And it's basically like samurai meets Japanese fantasy isekai.
Yeah, like the Dragon Quest style of fantasy.
Yeah. Samurai meets Dragon Quest. And I'm not going to say it does anything revolutionary, but it does the isekai genre well. Very, very well, I would say. It's no game changer, but it's a good standard isekai where you just have this really strong samurai going around fighting these magical beings, and it's just cool to read. It's really cool to read.
I think one thing it sort of has going for it is that this is a manga original. You can see that because there are only 4 words in the title, meaning that it's not a light novel adaptation. I think the light novel adaptation or manga adaptations of light novels tend to be fairly, like, I don't want to call them lazy because that might be,
Fairly not good.
It's derogatory, but yeah, it's very sort of low effort, very uninspired, I think is the right word. And I think this one kind of shows that it was built for being a manga, so that sort of gives it a bit more of an edge compared to your usual isekai manga. But yeah, as RJ says, this is a fun read, but nothing revolutionary. Okay, and I think, speaking of isekai, I'm gonna take yours, Crash, because I think I can build off of this. It's The Person is a Villainess is one that I read.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is, in fact, a light novel adaptation, but I think it's actually a really competent one. It's it has a really interesting art style, and the story is, I would say, good. It's another villainess story. We've seen a couple of those in the last few years, and it doesn't do any revolutionary things in that area. But I liked this manga a fair bit. Did either of you read it?
No.
I read the first chapter.
Yeah, so the concept of it basically is that you have this girl being isekai'd into another world where she is reborn as the villainess of I forget what it was. Was it a dating sim game or?
It's an
Yeah.
Otome game.
That is the formula. And then she kind of drives the person who was originally living in that body out. So she's sort of, what should I say, confined inside of her own mind, not able to do anything. But because this heroine is so understanding and loving towards the villainess, the original owner of the body sort of falls in love with her and wants her to succeed. But then when she is inevitably driven away from the palace, disgraced, she locks herself up now, and the original host of the body comes back out, and now she is going out for revenge to the people who wronged this girl coming from another world. So while it is, an isekai, it's technically not even about the girl who got isekai'd. It's about the villainess who was in the original story, who sort of got her views changed by this girl coming in from another world. And I think it was a fun time.
I didn't know villainous isekai were so abundant.
Oh, it's a thing. It's
I didn't know, because while researching this, or while looking for it, like to read, I ran into like 15 other series with similar names, and I was just like, no, this doesn't even look like the same artwork. What am I reading?
Like go to MangaDex and search for the word with villainess, and you'll get just page after page of usually light novel adaptations.
I thought it was just that one anime, and I was just like, oh, okay, because I thought this was the same thing. And
I think
was like,
that was the one that started it. I don't remember the exact name, but everyone knows it. It's the villainess anime.
Yeah, I didn't know there was, but hey, here we are.
Yeah, and I don't think that trend is going anywhere anytime soon, from what I've seen.
Well, there is a lot.
Yeah,
I'm looking at. Well, I somehow managed to survive this far, only reading one isekai manga.
Oh wow, which one was that?
The Tortusian Princess, which was not good at all, anyways. So, the thing I do is whenever someone asks me, it tells me that I need to read an isekai manga, I ask them to suggest a completed manga, and no one can. Like most isekai manga aren't completed somehow. So no one recommends me. They never can, except this one time where it wasn't that good. So.
Yeah, no, I'm drawing a blank. I can't either, actually.
There you go.
I can't think of it.
There's probably like a couple anime, and novels, but I'm not gonna read them.
Yeah, there are probably some light novels that are finished, and they probably have anime or manga adaptations, I should say, but I'm not aware of any that have actually finished. Okay, Crash. Now you can go ahead.
Let me look at the list as well. We can go to Konogami wo Nanto Yubo, if you know what it is. It's one where the girl has like the on her knees and whatever.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a couple seconds. Yeah. I read this one because it was the only manga in the entire in both categories. I think it's the only nominated manga that was completed.
Yeah.
And I like completed manga, so yeah, I read this one. Maybe I shouldn't have, because I mean that sounds fair. I think the manga does get better as it goes on. The plot. This is another one of those like teasing, wholesome shonen rom-coms that you see dime a dozen. I'm not sure if you can hear my baby screaming from the living room, but I hope you can.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Baby Crash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was this the one that ran in Tonari no Young Jump, or
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I looked at it, but I stayed clear of it.
Yeah. So the plot. the plot is that like the guy is the girl is using the brother of her ex-boyfriend to get like to basically stalk him. He's using the brother to help her stalk her ex, and because the main character, the brother, is in love with her.
No, I was gonna say I have a question. Did this is like 2 volumes long? Does it have a proper ending, or did it just get cancelled?
No, it does have a proper ending.
Okay.
Not one that I really like, because that was I was going to talk about. Like the manga, the girl is basically a stalker, like real criminal level stalking. They're just using the main character for her own goals, while the main character gets to hold her hand and pat her head and do these awesome things that was likely what would happen in real life. And then at the end, like you get like they get told that they're wrong, right? In what they're doing, but they never like get any actual consequences to their acts. They like just kind of get forgiven. It's like, oh, it's because my parents were bad and wherever, and it's fine. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like how she got away with it.
Yeah.
As much as she did.
Fair enough. Okay. RJ, you want to go? Oh wait, have we gone through all of yours?
Yeah, you've gone through every single one I read on the
All right,
digital.
I think we're probably wrapping it up soon.
Yeah.
For me as well. School back. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Crash, you had read some of it, right?
Yeah, I read this a couple of hours ago, actually.
All right, you wanna give a brief introduction to it then?
Yeah, so what I read was only the first like 3 or so chapters, but basically it's about like this janitor in a school, and she's basically the only adult that the teens like. And what I found interesting, like the first half of the first chapter is like, she's cool because she didn't criticize the girl that got late in school while the teacher did, and I wasn't expecting to like it, because what I felt was, oh, she is cool because she's not a responsible adult. So that was what I got. But then the second half of that chapter is actually about like the girl gets molested, and then like all the adults don't know exactly how to react, and don't understand how she's acting, because she's just acting like everything is cool. But then the janitor notices that something is wrong, and she's the one that is actually able to connect with her, because she sees her not as a kid but as a fellow person. So, and that sold me on the manga. I'm definitely gonna try to continue it, because it does use it to tackle a couple of interesting topics. I think the second chapter was all about death and how not just teenagers, I guess people just kind of like mention it all the time without even understanding the consequences of it.
Yeah,
like telling people to die and things like that. So I liked the little bit that I read.
Yeah, I quite like this one as well. It's sort of, it has, like you said, the first chapter, it's really went in a direction I didn't expect it to go, and I quite liked the sort of perspective that they gave on it. And it sort of reminds me of some of the other like episodic, like mentor-ish manga. Like there's one called We Shall Now Begin Ethics, I believe. And there's one called Yomawari Sensei. And I really like those types of stories, because they, like I said, always give sort of a cool perspective on things that you don't necessarily usually see in the sort of teen focused manga and stories in general that tackles these issues without this this adult character. And it is very dependent on if the adult mentor character is actually a good mentor or not. That will the series will sort of live or die on that. But I think so far this one has been very interesting.
Yeah.
The synopsis is interesting. I'll definitely add it to the list.
Crash, do you have many more on your list?
I think I have one more or two.
Yep.
No, one more.
Okay.
Which is Koibiro Ijo Yuji. I think is More Than Lovers, Less Than Friends.
Oh yeah, this one. Right.
Yeah. So this is another one that I read a couple of hours ago, just before the stream, and I haven't gotten far into it. I just really like the art style of the cover and the art style of the manga. The color pages are really beautiful, like the cover, but even the other ones are really good as well. Basically, the concept of this one is that this girl comes back from Tokyo into her little town, and she gets basically her mother sets her up on a blind date to meet someone, and the guy that she meets is another guy that came from Tokyo to back to his hometown, and his mother set him up into blind dates. But the cool plot twist is that both of them know each other because when they were in Tokyo, both of them were porn stars, and they worked together. So this is another of like that awesome shonen rom-com. But I like this one, especially because the guy, he was like someone who clearly didn't want it to be a porn star. So now he is trying to live like as a florist. So he's a super awesome guy. And I don't know, the girl is interesting as well, but I think it's really the guy that I liked in the manga. But I didn't get that far into it.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna look through there. I think the last one I want to talk about is this one, Anidata Mono, which I think was translated into He Was My Brother. We mentioned Haru's curse earlier, and that was kind of what I was planning to bring up when I was talking about this manga. This is one that I read just a few hours ago, so I only got about one volume in, and I kind of wished I'd gotten to read more of it, because this one seems like it could go some really interesting places. So it's about a girl, a high school girl, who falls in love with her dead brother's boyfriend. And it's about this guilt that she feels over this, that he is gone and he died of illness, and he never had the chance to live out his life with his boyfriend. And she sort of then has to deal with this, and also her family, who were not supportive at all of neither her brother nor said boyfriend because of their homophobia. And it's they sort of shut them out, and she's now kind of trying to bridge the gap. And this was what I thought this was all it was at first, and then when I got to sort of the second half of the first volume, then it seems to sort of involve some sort of like supernatural, almost like horror elements to it, that there is some sort of like grudge that maybe sort of trying to interfere with both this boyfriend's life and also their relationship together. I think it's really interesting. It had a vibe that was completely different from anything else that I read on this list. And like I said, I wished I'd read more, but it's really cool.
Looks very interesting to me.
Yeah.
So yeah. Besides that, I'll do a lightning round of the other ones that I didn't really care that much for. Normal Love with the Girls is a really, really trashy harem manga. 片田舎のおっさん剣戦になるただの田舎の剣術師範だったのに大成した弟子たちが俺を掘ってくらないけん。Believe it or not, that is a light novel adaptation.
I
Yeah.
who would have guessed?
Kind of just a very generic isekai power fantasy thing. That summary was shorter than the title, I believe. Let's see. Then we have Jirai Nan desu ka Chihara-san. Pretty cute. Like shonen rom-com, though it does definitely fall into the trap that we talked about earlier of kind of just being another very cute and wholesome shonen rom-com. Tank Chair. I am distraught that this one was not translated. So I couldn't read
That looks
it.
fun.
Because that cover is
Yeah.
amazing. Then we have...
Oh, I should have read Service Wars. It's by the...
Oh yeah, right. That is a Jump Plus manga, right?
Yeah, I know. I read this previous manga. It was pretty fun. I forgot the name. Mitama Security. That's the one. I still use emoji from Discord from that manga all the time.
I don't know anything about it. But yeah, it was sort of on my... Maybe I want to read that sort of list. But okay, that's pretty much everything from the digital category. So now I thought we could end that by sort of going over our personal top 3 and maybe even our predictions for what we think is going to win. Crash, I'll start with you.
Okay, so top 3, I guess, from the ones I read, probably After God, I guess. The 100 Ghost Stories. And the Koibito Ijo Eugene Minmon, the one with
the porn
the
stars.
Yeah, that was fun. I think that is my top 3. The ones that I think is gonna win though is probably Kindergarten Wars. And After God, I think After God might actually get top 3.
Okay. So RJ, what about you?
Okay, so my top 3 are starting from 3. Isekai Samurai, Samurai from Another World, Kindergarten Wars, and the Fudari Katari Ashitari would be my number 1 pick. I think Kindergarten Wars is also gonna win, just because of the popularity and the fact that it has a lot more. It's way easier to read Kindergarten Wars than anything else I just named. So yeah, but Fundari is my favorite one.
Okay, awesome. And I realized I messed up because I forgot to talk about one that I actually quite enjoyed, and also I think it's one of the most popular ones on this entire list. And that is the first one. I want to end the Game of Love. This one is actually getting an official English release by Viz Media, I believe, next year, and it has quite a big following, I believe, online. And I'm gonna say, if you enjoy the parts of shonen romance that goes, is he into me? No, it can't be. It can't be, right? He can't be into me. No, there's no way. No, absolutely not. Then you will love this manga. Because this manga literally, spoiler alerts, kinda, has the 2 characters making out on a bench in a park for 5 minutes and then going back home and wondering if they might be into me.
Wow.
That is this manga. And so what it's about is 2 childhood friends who in like 7th grade or whatever started the I love you game, which is about telling the other person that you love them and then trying to make them embarrassed. And then it sort of just escalated from there. and started doing everything they could to possibly make the other person embarrassed. And it sort of ends up in a, love is war kind of situation, but where they're both super into each other, but refuses to be the one to admit it. And that is what leads to these situations that I described earlier, where one of them will just start making out with the other, and they will somehow start questioning whether that could possibly be indicative of romantic feelings, or if it's just part of the I love you game.
It seems pretty up in the air, I don't really know.
Yeah, you can never quite tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, I will say what it has going for it is that it's very cute. It is a sugar overdose, and I think it deserves the following to a certain extent, but it's not, it's not what I really like in a romance manga in general. But yeah, that is I Want to End the Game of Love. And for my top 3, I think for third place, I actually thought picking out the top 3 for this one was even harder than the one in print. I think the print ones had a bit more of some clear winners for me. This one actually had quite a few that I could go for. I think I'm going to say... Yeah, what?
I was going to say there's one time we were in chat saying they missed most of the stream. I was just going to say that we're just halfway, so it's fine.
Yeah. That we haven't even started the print manga yet. We're only in the digital manga, and you're getting the best part, which is when we actually get to the point and say which ones you should go read. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna say number 3. He Was My Brother. It might even be higher if I read more of it, but that seems off to a really strong start for me. Number 2, I'm gonna go with the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. And then for number 1, I honestly think I'm just gonna go with Kindergarten Wars. I really enjoyed that.
Fair enough.
And for the winners, I actually think the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all is going to take first place, and then Kindergarten Wars for second, and I'm gonna say I Want to End the Game of Love for number 3.
All right.
Okay.
That's, yeah, as it points out in the chat, it's super popular on Twitter. I think the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. It gets like over 100,000 likes every time they post a sort of four pages. So yeah, but yeah, now let's move on to the print category. And would either of you want a break or anything before we move on?
No.
I'm okay. I have my monster on my side, which is actually almost ending.
All right, then we'll just jump into the prints category. So, what should we start with? I think we may as well start with sort of the big hitters, and let's just take the Weekly Shonen Jump ones. Get those out of the way, I say. So, Crash, you want to lead us into this one?
Sure. Let's start with Cypher Academy. I mean, I guess it's the ones up above. The one by Nishio Sin, author of Medaka Box, and the incredibly popular manga anime that I've never watched, Monogatari.
Yeah.
This one is weird for me to judge because there are times where I hate this manga. There are times that I love this. It's so confusing. I mean, there's a lot of first of all, the puzzle. The technique that I found to enjoy this manga the most is just forget the puzzles, which is the main thing of the entire thing. Is you can solve the puzzles at the same time the characters do, except unless you speak Japanese on a very fluent level.
I feel so bad for the translator of this
Yeah,
manga. And
the first translator of this manga quit, by the way.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. The translator of this manga just gave up, didn't want to
Yeah.
do it anymore, and
Jesus Christ.
I can understand it because
There are some like puzzles you can't just.
yeah, there are a lot of like word plays and stuff like that in this manga.
So you kind of just have to give up. If you're like a Western reader, someone that doesn't speak Japanese, even reading translations, you kind of have to do the thing that the translators do, which is just give up on solving the puzzle, nod, and then progress with the story. That's the way to solve it. But even then, I think there are like stuff that are like the entire concept of like the wars. So just for those that don't know the plot, basically the concept of the story is that this is an academy where all the students are studying to solve puzzles and ciphers so that they can do that as a job in the wars that are happening all around the world, the crypto wars. But the entire concept of like what the hell is a crypto war is never explained. Like they can buy wars, they can sell wars, they can end wars, but that concept is never fully explained or even like touched upon. It's just like occasionally it's mentioned, and it's so confusing. But then you if you give up, you forget all of that and just characters and some of the actual interesting solvable puzzles, the manga is pretty good at those moments. So it's a mixed feelings that I have with Cypher Academy.
Okay, RJ, did you read this one?
I did not.
Okay.
But it's interesting. He says by the author of Madaka Box and Monogatari. So that's piqued my interest.
Yeah, I was really excited when this one got announced, but I kind of just dropped it after a few chapters because, as Crash said, I just had to give up on the puzzles, and the rest of it didn't really interest me enough to keep reading.
Yeah, I getcha. One thing that I find interesting, it's just a little detail that is also kind of present in Medaka Box, and I'm assuming like overall in his works, is the little fourth wall breaks that this manga has, because there's something like Roboko that is constantly breaking the fourth wall because that's the thing it does. And then even with Medaka Box, it's kind of like the whole thing's like it's a parody of Battle Shonen, so it makes sense that it kind of does break the wall. This one is it shouldn't break the fourth wall, but it does sometimes, and it's always interesting. Like the character just occasionally mentioning like that this is a Shonen Jump series.
Okay, interesting. I never really got that far, but it does seem kind of out of place for what I read so far of it. But yeah,
it is. But because it's never like a big thing. It's just like a line here and there. It kind of, I'm not to say it works. It at least isn't intrusive.
Okay, let's see. Okay, should we move on to the next one?
If you want me to ramble even more.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. This is why I brought you on, so you can have your time.
Oh my god, like the Ichinos, that's another one.
Yeah.
So
to introduce it, this is from the author of Takopi's original Sin, which became very popular like a year or two ago in Jump Plus, very short series, and he kind of brings everything that he had going in that series into this one as well, and you can take it away, Crash.
Yeah. So you guys read Takopi, right?
Yeah, read it all.
So I think Takopi works, but I think it works because it is a 2-volume manga. Because if you read that series, it's like plot twist after plot twist after plot twist after plot twist.
Yeah.
And it gets so convoluted, but it does wrap up pretty decently. Then she knows that the family's deadly sins, just plot twist after plot twist. We're like almost like chapter 40. The plot twists, they don't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
Just gone so far off. It just doesn't make sense. The manga should have ended. That's a video that I wanted to make.
Yeah.
Like this manga should have ended.
I actually dropped this one. So I think I got about 25 chapters in, and I was reading it weekly.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know. I just found myself not caring anymore.
Did you drop out, RJ?
Yeah, we lost. I
Yeah,
guess
okay.
we lost him.
Well,
for a second.
I'll pick up the baton then, because I think I dropped this after about a volume, and the reason for that is because Takopi was, as you said, it was pretty decent in the way it sort of wrapped things up, but even so, Takopi left me exhausted. This guy has a way of sort of really reveling in, suffering and misery.
Yeah.
That I sort of just get really tired of. And so once I understood that this series was going to go on for a while, I just, I jumped ship shortly after that.
Yeah. This is definitely one that should be like 2 volumes as well. And to be fair, it isn't. It's never as dark as Takopi, because I think Takopi, even though it's also shonen manga, it's brutal. That manga is brutal. Ichino's Family Deadly Sins is brutal in some ways. Hey, RJ, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Hey,
Okay,
he's back.
good.
Okay. So I was gonna say, like, Ichino's Family Deadly Sins, it can be like brutal at times. It's never as brutal as Takopi. Probably because 2005 just is not allowed.
Yeah, you can get away with much more in Jump Plus, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead. You never finished.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where I cut off. I was just saying that it kept going, and I do agree with what Crash said. It overstayed its welcome.
Yeah.
I it would work better as a short story, especially because that's just the way it's written. He doesn't really like to stretch out his mystery, right? He likes to just get right into it. So I was like, if you're not going to stretch this out, then there's no need for us to going with plot twist after plot twist, and it just became overbearing. And it seemed like it seemed like an interesting concept, just poor execution, really.
Yeah, the big plot twist that at this point I guess is the middle of the series so far. I'm just gonna say it's stupid. I don't want to spoil it because it's like a big thing when you first read the manga. Like when you first read the first chapter, like, what the hell is happening? Why is this? But the actual reason as to why they're on that loop, they have amnesia and whatever. It's stupid. It's really stupid.
Okay, have we vented enough about Ichinosa, or do you have anything left to say?
Nope.
All right.
I'm fine.
All right, then I think we'll move on to the last one of the jump ones, which is Fabricant 100. So I think Crash is probably the only one who's really dove into this one. I only read a single chapter.
No,
Man.
I like this one. This one out of the 3, probably like very hot take. This is my favorite one. It's probably because I love horror. Like the concept of this one is that there's these monsters called the Fabricants who basically kill people who have talents of some sort, like a higher level body of like very good eyes or very good arms or whatever, things like that, and then they build their bodies so they can become perfect, I guess. And the concept that this one kid who belongs in a family that actually like regenerates their bodies at a higher level than most people. Like, these aren't like supernatural. If they cut their arms, it scars faster than normal people, I guess. And basically, so the Fabricants kill all his family, but then the way that he saves himself is by telling one of the Fabricants, which is the strongest one, I'll let you kill me and get my body when I'm 18, because that's like my peak. Right now I'm not at my peak because I'm a kid. So at 18, you can have my body and use it, but only if you help me kill all the other fabricants, which are the other 99. And I don't know, I just like the concept because the manga slowly devolves into the relationship between these two characters, because the way we're introduced to the characters at the midpoint, like I don't know if it's years, but I guess a year or at least from that moment, they seem like very friendly with each other.
Yeah,
like
I
the
was
girl.
definitely surprised by that when I was reading it, because I was just sitting there thinking, this is the woman who murdered your entire family, and they're sort of playing it off as this like goofy fun adventure sort of bantery dynamic that those two characters have together.
Yeah, but then it slowly evolves because it starts thinking that, or it feels almost like she cares about him, but what she actually cares his body. She needs his body to not get hurt, so she takes good care of him. And the manga in the later chapters like start getting more into that relationship, the way that he can't be deluded into thinking that she actually cares about him, and does she actually got to care about him over the years that she spent together or not? It is pretty good, but as one time we've said on chat, it is getting canceled most likely.
I can see that.
It didn't got popular, very sadly.
It hasn't lit the world on fire. That's
no.
That's
and it's clearly like right now it's clearly on the final boss. Anyways, I haven't read the last like 2 chapters because the last chapter came out today and didn't have time preparing for the stream, but it probably has like 1 or 2 more chapters. I don't see it having much more than that.
I see. Okay, that is the Shonen Jump out of the way. So, do you think that either of the Shonen Jump are going to end up on the top 3? Like not about
sure.
your preference, but just as a prediction.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, both Ichinos and Cypher Academy have good chances because they're by very popular mangaka. Like Cypher Academy is by Nishio Isin. That's one of the most popular like writers in Japan.
Yeah.
Just by that alone, he gets the votes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. RJ, do you wanna pick one?
Yeah. Okay. So, let's think about this. I'm actually gonna start with verses.
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna start with verses because this would be the 3rd of one's work that I have read. I mean, I think he's only written 3, right?
Yeah.
It's by 1. Nice.
If you're not counting one shots, then yeah, I think.
Yeah, if you're not counting one shots, then 3rd of a series that he's read. Loved Mob Psycho, and I enjoy One Punch Man, and one is very good at creating interesting concepts. And to sell you on verses, basically, just to tell people what it's about. Versus is basically this. So you enter this normal fantasy world where heroes are tasked with defeating the demon kings, and the heroes are completely outmatched. One's typical power scaling, play on anime shonen like fights and stuff. The heroes think of this plan to summon another world and have to basically isekai someone in to save them. And they summon another world, and when they summon another world, it's like this sci-fi-esque world, and they're like, oh my god, they have guns, they have all this stuff, they can save us. And this other world's like, no, we summoned you to save us from a robot invasion. And turns out they summoned multiple worlds, and it's like 13 worlds total, each with their own type of calamity, from demons to androids to aliens invading, to just the world being messed up, to giants. And they're all just like, we basically combined all our problems together, and we made it worse. And yeah, and it's like this action comedy thing, typical One style writing, and it's good. I actively enjoyed it. I was like, I'm gonna read the first 10 chapters. I found myself catching up to it. and it is very interesting. You can tell you can tell it's written by one. For some reason, this man continues to get good artists to draw his stuff because the artwork is fantastic as well. Um, and yeah, I can see this one getting an anime
Yeah, I think it's
very soon.
that is
It's
very likely. I can point out that someone in chat says that one has apparently also written a longer webcomic called Maka no Osan, which ended in
okay.
2013, ran for about a year.
Check that one out.
But yeah, but this could probably be said to be the third like major work that he's made. And I'll be completely honest, I am definitely not as pulled into this one as I have been the other two. Mostly because I think what one does so incredibly well is usually the characters, the sort of really bizarre, quirky characters that still has, you know, the very mundane elements to them. He's very good at sort of juxtaposing both the world-ending crises and also just how do I get a girlfriend in middle school, and sort of using both of those to make his characters very, very strong. I don't think I remember a single character's name from Versus. I think they are memorable in sort of their aesthetic and where they come from. The worlds that sort of are interacting with each other are very, very cool and very unique. But I have not sort of felt that one touch of the character interactions in this one, and I think that it's right now. There's only one volume out. It's kind of just a slightly above average action manga to me.
RJ is gonna find your house.
No, I want this. I want to love this. I really want.
I
this to
enjoyed
be
it.
great.
I enjoyed it. I definitely see what you mean. It definitely has more potential to grow. It's definitely right now. I mean, it is one volume out, so it is the worst of his three major works. It's nowhere near Mob Psycho level of, you know, like incredible. And it's barely touching the One Punch Man like enjoyment factor. I do think the main problem with it is I found myself reading, and I was invested, but it was like a 5-chapter span, and these chapters are not short. They're about like 30 pages each. But it's like a 5-chapter span of them in this one room talking about what they should do next. And I'm like, okay, we're still in this room. Like, it's an interesting conversation, but we're still in this room. Can something happen within the story?
Yeah, that should also be said. That they're kind of just now starting their sort of first major interaction, sort of with this this other force. So it probably hasn't even gotten to like what's going to be the meat of the series. That should be mentioned. But yeah, this was definitely one of the really big ones going into this. Just from a name standpoint, and yeah, it's definitely gonna be a big contender, I think. Moving on, let's go with, since we're here, Spring Storm and Monster. Which one of you was it that read this one?
RJ?
Oh, okay. I was like, which one is Spring Storm and Monster? Yes, I read the first chapter of this. I don't know how to feel about it. I honestly don't know how to feel about it because it's like
it has I can fix him vibes.
Yeah,
very strong.
It's like I can fix him vibes, and it's also are if I remember correctly, they're step siblings, right?
Yeah. Or adopted siblings.
Adopted siblings. So like they're siblings. So it's like step incest. I can fix him type of vibes. Which, you know, can be interesting. I only read the first chapter, and it was a nice read. I enjoyed it. It's just the concept is like, it's a hard sell. I would say it's a very hard sell.
Oh no.
Um,
Okay, so for me, it's an easy sell.
okay.
I was
Okay.
all in. I was all in. I love bathing in the absolute like
Uh-huh.
bottom of the barrel, just problematic. Played up for. Oh, but he's so cute though. I really
Yeah.
enjoy this. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's very fun to read. And yeah, it's how should I put it? It's there are two kinds of shoujo manga. Or shoujo romance, I should say. There are the very bubbly, cute ones where everyone is an incredible person and everything is going great. And then there is let's just take every immoral, toxic part of any relationship you can possibly get and just throw them all together and see what you get.
Mhm.
I will. This is. I am sort of overreacting a bit here because it's still kind of on the cute side, I would say.
Of course it is.
Because look at him, he's so adorable. Even though he punched a guy through a brick wall in like the first chapter, and definitely killed that guy.
Definitely murdered. Definitely committed murder in the first chapter. Like,
but he's so cute though. No, this is just sort of shoujo manga romance schlock, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm going to continue reading it. This is another one I read before you sent me the list, so I was already kind of reading. I already read like the first chapter. And I was like, oh, okay, it's on the list. But yeah, so I definitely recommend this one. Not fully, but like I said, I think it's a hard sell because he's problematic. It's very problematic.
RJ, there are accusations in the chat right now saying that you don't know how to read. Will you respond to this?
False. I deny all allegations against my ability to read. I definitely
Who
know
is the guy whispering into your ear right now about what these manga are about?
False. I read subtitles. I watch anime. I read subtitles that involves reading. Haha. So I know how to read.
Either way, like manga you can just look at the pictures.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes the manga is better if you only look at the picture.
I've been inferring context clues. I don't need translations.
You might not have known that they were siblings if you hadn't read it.
That's true.
Exactly.
Okay, I see someone in chat yelling for Bless. I got you. We're gonna talk about Bless, okay? Bless is incredible. I really, really like Bless. It's sort of this this finding your passion sort of high school manga about two people really getting into the fashion business, and one of them is a former model, the guy who really wants to be a makeup artist, but he sort of has this how should I put it, the stigma against him that he's a model, and that is what he's good at, and if he were to now begin as a makeup artist, he would sort of have to start all over again. But he has a really supportive mentor that means a lot to him, who is sort of helping him along the way. And then there's also a girl in his class who is trying to become a model. And those two sort of start working together, giving each other advice, and working together on becoming or getting into this industry. And it's the reason why I really like it is because I sort of get the same feeling when reading this that I get from reading something like Blue Period. Just this really, really great sort of finding your passion and finding like-minded people in this sort of community. There are only 10 chapters out right now, and the release schedule has been a bit sparse, but I think this is going to be like a cult classic. I don't think it's gonna blow up in, kind of the same thing that happened with Blue Period. So a very it's going to be a very well beloved manga, I think.
Okay. If you say it's like Blue Period, then I'll definitely add it. I read the synopsis for it. It was one of the ones so I did like a elimination thing where I picked like all the ones I was interested in. I eliminated the ones because I was like, it's gonna be reading too much. It was one of the ones I eliminated. But definitely I'll add it. It's definitely on the list.
Okay, Crash, do you want to pick another one?
Sure. I guess I can pick Dino-san.
Yeah,
That was the first one I read.
Sanctuary.
Dinosaur Sanctuary. Yes, that is the title in English. I read this one because I like dinosaurs. It's not that deep.
Okay.
And this is definitely one of those one-note manga where it's about dinosaurs, and if you like dinosaurs, you may like this manga. The whole concept is like, what if Jurassic Park happened, but not like people didn't die and everything, and just more and more like dinosaur zoos would start appearing, and then we follow like a small dinosaur zoo which is not that popular. Then the main character really loves dinosaurs, and they kind of use that to explore like to basically explain like dinosaurs, like the not being English sucks sometimes.
I feel it.
But yeah, but like their habits and the thing.
Yeah.
Basically, learn more about dinosaurs. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say.
And
if you're interested in that, that's fine. Check the manga out. I think the story itself isn't anything that special. It really is just kind of like a vehicle to look more dinosaurs. Don't you like this one? This one has a giant neck because of this, and they eat this thing and that thing. That is essentially the whole thing. But yeah, it's fun. I'll say it's fun.
Cool. RJ, what is your pick?
My next pick. Or what do I think about the dinosaurs?
No. Wait. Did you read the dinosaur one?
No, I didn't read it. But
well, do you like dinosaurs?
Yeah. Do you like dinosaurs?
Sounds interesting.
Actually, I do have one thing to say about this one, because I found interesting on the notes that I didn't know this happened, but I guess it may happen more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
The author was talking about how he was sold to write a story. Because we were kind of like, we kind of expect like manga to be just like the people go there and like, oh, this is the thing that I wrote. But it seems like sometimes it's the editors that come to the art. The writer, and like, we have this idea where we want you to write a manga about dinosaurs because people like that, and they do that. So I'm kind of like curious at how often does that actually happen?
Yeah,
in manga.
That's interesting. I'm trying to think if I can come up with some clear example, but none come to my head right away. Except I guess there was that time like Taya Matsumoto was asked to like write the book about the Louvre, where they would sell, and he made Cat of the Louvre as part of an collaboration there. But yeah.
And one time we've said probably common kids manga. That's probably a lot of like IP, like Sonic and Mario manga.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Probably like
Okay, RJ.
So my next one is Akabane Hanako no Bodyguard.
I think that's on the top.
Very first one.
I think it's
on the list now. So this was an interesting read. I think it's the same thing as Samurai from Another World, where it is. I don't know this for sure, but I'm gonna assume just from reading it, it's a shonen manga. Because it seems like a pretty basic shonen manga. So basically, the premise is this girl, Akabane, is the illegitimate daughter of a Yakuza boss, and he is retiring. So the people of the organization are just like, well, we can't have this random high school girl be our next leader. So, and he's like, well, I don't plan on making her the next leader because she doesn't know anything about the Yakuza. She doesn't even know I'm her father. They're like, well, she won't know anything if she's dead. So basically, it's like the gang is trying to murder her. So he hires her best friend, which is the dude in the cover, to be her bodyguard. Come to find out from the first chapter, which spoiler not spoiler, her entire class is actually implanted bodyguards. So her entire class is her entire bodyguard. So it's like a combination of like assassination class. It's like a play on assassination classrooms kind of concept. Um, Except not all of them are children. They're just acting like children. Some of them are grown adults, acting like high schoolers, because they're all Yakuza members. So, and it's this fun shonen concept. The only thing I think makes it not kind of stand out from being just your typical fun little shonen concept is the fact that she doesn't know. I feel like if you just change the fact that she knows and she doesn't want to take control and they're still her bodyguards and she had some form of leadership over the class, it would make the concept a lot cooler. Also make her character a lot cooler because she's just sitting there like, why are you guys randomly disappearing at times? And they make up, typical anime BS excuses. Oh, I saw a dog, or I was saving a cat from a tree or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that kind of makes it generic. And I feel like day and age in manga and anime, we're way past those generic kind of concepts. Yes, it does what it does, and it does it well. So I enjoyed it.
Mm-mm. Okay. I did not read this one, so I will only take your word for it. Let's see. I kind of want to just briefly mention God Bless the Mistaken. I only read a single chapter of this. It's by the author of Bloom Into You. So it was I quite liked that series, so I was kind of excited for this one. But then I found out that it's published by Yen Press, and it's only digital. And they sell each chapter for $2, which is
Yep.
the absolute worst monetization model I have ever seen. So I can only talk about the first chapter, but it's a pretty cool concept. It's sort of this sci-fi-ish story where the world is kind of bugging out, and each day there's a new glitch to the world that is introduced, and sort of what that leads to. It seems like, at least from the first chapter, that they're taking a almost like slice of life sort of approach to that. But I really like slice of life series when they sort of have a bit of an interesting world to explore. So I think this one could be really good, but I can't be for sure until I can actually get it for a fair price. Yeah, someone says piracy. The problem is that I could not even find a fan translation of this one. That was only the official one as far as I could find.
Yeah, same. I also read the first chapter of this and saw Yen Press's terrible marketing. And I desperately looked for a fan translation, and sadly, there is none.
Yeah.
And the only things translated is the first chapter. It was interesting. It was interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it could be cool. Let's see. I want to talk about Gokuraku Guy. Who had read that? It was RJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sort of have a bit of a grudge against Gokuraku Guy because I absolutely adore the one shot of this series that was released a few years ago, and that sort of set my expectations way too high.
Yeah.
And then when the actual series started, I kind of it was way more of a what I found to be a very generic battle shonen, whereas the one shots had this really cool way that the characters interacted with the world, and we got to see almost like the idea of the city as a character. I think that is pretty apt because the series is named after the district that they're in. And it sort of felt like a really living place where you had all these factions of organized crime working with sort of the more fantastical side of this world, and how would actually a crime syndicate operate with magical beings. in the world. So it's sort of God, Crash, help me here. What's the Shonen Jump thing that got cancelled?
There are a lot of.
But yeah, I mean by the Hell's Paradise guy.
Oh God. Forgot
Jesus called. Yeah.
I really like Ayakashi.
Ayashimon, thank you.
Ayashimon, exactly.
Yeah.
Ayakashi Triangles was the other one.
The one shot was kind of like Ayashimon, but good. And then
Ayashimon was good with the.
I
It was
really like
so
I really like the beginning of Ayashimon, but I don't think it panned out too well.
No, Ayashimon did not pan out. The first chapter was interesting, and then it peaked.
I think it had like such a great villain though.
Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, RJ, what are your thoughts on Goku Rakugai?
Pretty much the same. So, Rakugai is one of those manga that you see a bunch of people post like screenshots from, and just from the artwork alone, everyone's like, "Oh, what is this manga? I want to read it." Right? The character designs.
Yeah, the character design is
incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
They are incredible, right? It's you don't even need words. Just put the poster up there. Manga fans will be like, "I'm reading that," because the character designs are incredible, and it kind of reminds me of Tokyo Revengers. The character designs are incredible.
I can see that.
Absolutely incredible. But the actual manga is something else. I think someone said it in chat. Great one shot mid-series. Yeah. It was a little bit disappointing for me. I read the first 4 chapters and I was like, this is pretty standard. Nothing new. Like I was literally flipping through the pages and reading. I was like, let me guess, he's special somehow. Either he's a hybrid or he's got something sealed inside of him. Turns out he was a hybrid. And it could become one of its own. It could become its own thing, because there are a lot of shonen manga that start out with standard shonen, and then it becomes its own thing about like chapter 20 or something. But I mean, at this day and age, we're getting so much content from manga itself, just from manga alone. I mean, just exclude anime or light novels, just from manga alone. It's just like, do I really have the time to be wasting 20 chapters on a series for it to get good? No, I don't. So will I continue? Will I continue it? Maybe, just from seeing the artwork alone from the later chapters and seeing some more character designs, like I want to get to that character. So maybe, but I fully recommend it to people. No.
Yeah, I'll keep begrudgingly reading it. I think I was so excited. I was so excited when this got announced for a full series.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah, that's Goku Rakugai. Okay, Crash, you wanna take another one?
Sure. Tamon-kun? I forgot the actual full title.
Which phase does Tamon have now? I think it has an official translation, so that's probably not the exact title, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was good. Basically, this is like, I read this one because it's the only shoujo I found. There was clearly a shoujo, and I wanted to read a shoujo for the list.
What about the incest?
I kind of missed that one. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, he kind of missed it.
Yeah,
sure.
kind of sorry. So Tamon-kun is basically Tamon is like an idol of idol group in like J-pop, and the main character of the manga is like super mega fangirl of Tamon. And then she is actually tasked as her job. Someone dropped. Yeah, someone's back. She was tasked at her job to take care of a house, and she finds out that the house she's taking care of is of Tamon. So she lives with his idol, and then she realizes that that Tamon actually is completely different from the idol version of him, where he's like this very outgoing, very like social, pretty cool dude, and then in real life he's like in the corner of the house in his Zuri like super depressed. And what I found interesting about this one is that she, I think in any normal manga with kind of plot would actually be about her trying to come into, trying to realize and understand that the character of Tamon, the idol, is different from him, and learning to love him. But she actually realizes that pretty much right away. She is quickly able to differentiate between the idol that she loves and the dude that she's actually like taking care of the house.
Yeah, which is kind of presented as a coping mechanism, I feel, just so that she doesn't break down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny, and thank you for this one.
Yeah. What I think what I like about this one is really like the way that she, like, he hates himself, and sometimes like there's like one panel where he's like, there's people more talented than me, and she's like, what the fuck did you just say about Tamon-kun? Like, I'm gonna kill myself. What the fuck are you going to do, Tamon-kun? Like, I like that dynamic. Sadly, Manga Dex died while I was reading this one, so I think I'm missing like 2 chapters because there aren't a lot of them out. It was fun.
I recently read a manga called The Untouchable Midori-kun, and I kind of had those two mixed up in my head, because that one is also about sort of a male idol in his off time. So yeah, you explaining this kind of helped me differentiate between these two now. But yeah, I like this one. It was pretty fun. Yeah. Let's see. Do I want to talk about anything? We can talk about Satsudo. I saw someone in chat mention that. Satsudo's pretty fun. I don't have a lot to say because I kind of fell off it after a few chapters. I think it seems very good. I don't think the fan translation was very good. And it's sometimes a bit hard to tell when you're reading a fan translation and you're kind of feeling something is off, that it's not really flowing. The dialogue is not flowing all that well. It's kind of hard to determine whether that is because of the fan translation or because that's just how it was originally written, or even sometimes it's just a mind bug of mine, and then I'll read a bit more and then realize that it wasn't really that bad at all. But yeah, something just felt kind of off about the dialogue and stuff in this one. But it's a fighting manga, so like street brawling kind of stuff, where this main guy is a master of this ultimate killing technique, and all the world's best martial artists are sort of coming to get him after they found him on social media fighting a guy on the street, and now everyone just wants to fight him, and it's pretty fun. Okay. What I could read. But yeah, let's see. Ooh, RJ, it's been a while since you've gone.
Okay. The next one is actually a magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and Gene Sung Lady.
Right. It's a light novel adaptation.
How'd you guess?
I don't know. I just know them.
But the fans have shortened it to Magi Revo, so I'll be referring to it as Magi Revo from now on, because and this is actually a contender for, personally, my anime of the year. So the anime did come out this year, and I guess the manga also came out this year as well. The light novel, of course, has been out for a while. It's a Yuri magical manga, and the manga is pretty good. I still think the anime kind of outdoes it with the writing, because the scriptwriter for the anime is the writer of Oregaru.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, he came back. Wataru, whatever, I forget his last name. He came back and wrote the script for the anime, and you can tell it's like the dialogue is the hook for the anime, and it turned what kind of is like a standard isekai type thing into a really interesting kind of political story, and it's Yuri, so yay, lesbians. But yeah, it's fun because this story doesn't need to be an isekai, and it never actually tells you that it is an isekai. It's kind of heavily inferred that it is isekai. Basically, what it's
Yeah,
about is
I was very
the
confused about that when I watched the anime. I was just
yeah,
sitting there the
yeah,
entire time. Why is this an isekai? Because they don't even tell you that it's an isekai. You only know it because of the title, and then like
exactly.
6 episodes into the show, then they reveal it as if you
Yeah,
didn't know already because of the title.
yeah. And
But
it's
yeah.
one of those isekais where it's like this didn't need to be isekai. You could literally take that out of the story and it'd be the exact same story, right?
Mm.
Um, but basically, what it's about this princess who denounces her throne, her heir, her claim to the throne, in order to basically research magic and how to get magic to the commoners. Because in this world, commoners can't use magic, and she also wasn't able to use magic, but she's able to use magical tools. And basically, her brother's like, I don't want to marry her, so he like does this real dirty thing to or his fiance, and she's like, well, then I'll marry her. Um, and she hires her brother's ex fiance to be her magical assistant and create those magical tools and give it to the commoners. And basically, the rich not want to give magic to the commoners because they're rich and they're like, it's all mine. Um, like this political story. So it's not a really battle power fantasy isekai. Although it does have action within it, it's more of a political romance story about these two trying to change the politics of their kingdom. And it is fairly interesting, and I heavily enjoyed the anime. The manga is also good. I recommend the anime though because scriptwriter Oregaru, you don't want to miss out on that expert dialogue. But yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely
I,
enjoyed.
I I really liked the character dynamics in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I wasn't really a huge fan of the plot, but that really carried it for me. Was just
Yeah.
sort of seeing these the characters interact with each other. Okay, what else do we have? I'm gonna talk about Mikado no Sanchimai wa Angai Choroi. That
Mm-hmm.
is another harem manga. There were 2 of those that I read. One was absolute trash. This one I actually quite like.
Okay.
It, don't get me wrong, it is a harem manga. It is trash. But I'm to demonstrate why I like this. I think I'm gonna pull up an image, and I'm gonna send it to you guys as well. And it is the sort of introductory panel that introduces the girls. Let's see. Do I have it? There we go. So, here we go. So, if you see this image, I'm going to send it to you guys as well. If you see this image and it tickles something in you, you just feel a little something. That's, hey, I don't know. I think this might be. I think I'd like to be interested in this, and I welcome you into the trash
Neuron
can.
activation.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see this image introducing the 3 girls of this story, and I'm like, yeah, I can read this. And yeah, I don't think I really need to say all that much more. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's also just kind of cute. It has, I think the guy character is sort of interesting because he's actually likable. You can actually sort of understand why the girls would like him, because I feel like he's almost like this is almost like a shoujo romance, like almost or a shoujo harem, sort of like Fruits Basket or some otome game, where you've just reversed the genders, where the girls are these really tough, like ikemen type, really competent, and the guy is just a sweet little cinnamon bun who's really good at taking care of people, who just wants everyone to get along. And yeah, I enjoy that dynamic. So that's why I'm gonna shout out my guilty pleasure for this one. All right, Crash, you want to take it?
Yes, let me check the list again. I think there's only like one more manga that I have on my list. And Kanan Sama wa Wakuma de Shu. I said it
Right.
in Portuguese accent.
Ironically enough, I think this is one of the few that all three of us read, and I don't think
We
it
did.
deserves that.
No,
But
not at all. Mr. Scan is actually
Yeah.
easy. I dropped this one. Like this one is. We're talking earlier in the stream about the abundance of like wholesome manga. This is like the exact like generic kind of thing that I think about. It's like, oh, this girl is like evil, but then she meets a guy and now she's wholesome, but it's the goddamn tsundere just taken up to an absurd level of just no. I don't like it.
Just no.
Just don't do it. Like I look the my favorite manga, one of my favorite manga was responsible for the popularization of tsundere manga, so like tsundere girls in our manga. And
Love Hina, I'm guessing.
yes, Lavina, yeah, but like I haven't found any other manga quite as well, and it just devolved somehow.
You never forget your first.
This, yeah, no, but like it just became like such a big caricature over time. I just don't like this one.
I mean, yeah, I think we're giving this manga more time than it deserves. It's I mean it's like an ecchi sort of very generic romance that doesn't really have too much going for it, unless RJ have some very strong.
RJ going like it's like actually my favorite manga.
No, this is the one I enjoyed the most. No, I read the first 3 chapters. I dropped it as well. I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. To be honest, as a man of culture, right? You know, as someone who likes to dip his toe in some degeneracy, right? It wasn't enough for me. It needed more fan service to hold me in, because I was just like, yeah, no, they needed more fan service. I was like,
I get you.
it's already kind of bad, right? At least give me good fan service, and it didn't even give me good fan service. So I was just like, because I picked this one because I was like, I gotta pick one culture manga, right? You gotta pick one culture manga. So I didn't give me enough fan service, and I was like, maybe I need to keep reading, but I'm like, I'm 3 chapters in, and I'm still looking for fan service. Like, no.
Yeah, I think I read like 6 somehow because they're like really short.
Yeah, they're really short. Yeah.
But yeah, no.
This is a I think Weekly Shonen Magazine series. So yeah, it might be. I don't know if that has something to do with how tame it is. I don't know if they have some. Well, then again, I'm thinking of like To Loveru, so I guess Shonen magazines.
Yeah,
they don't. They're not always too strict about it. So
no, not at all.
But yeah. All right. And that was that your last one?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
This one is.
RJ, do you have any others?
I've got like 2 more.
Okay, I can go through a few of mine first, because I think I have one that I want to end it on. One of yours. So let's see. I read. Why is this all in one word? It's Kimi to warui koto ga shitai. That's the name. Just a fairly cute rom-com. See a bunch of those. It's sort of about this girl who's really tall and a guy who's really short. And hey, you can write a manga about that, I guess.
Someone else has written though.
I'm gonna say that seems to be. It seems to be like, I don't know. Manga artists are starting to read Lovely Complex. I don't know, and bringing it back.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, Lovely Complex, anyone? Yep.
Yeah, Lovely Complex, anyone? Because like we had the Dangers in My Heart, and I was watching that, and I was like, so this is shown.
Wait. Someone in chat mentions the condom manga. Which one's the condom manga? Please tell me. Oh, wait.
Back now.
Oh, yeah, I think actually I heard about that one. No, no, I don't think anyone else read that, unfortunately. Um, let's see, which one was it?
I read the pin. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Tokyo,
Okay. RJ, you want to take one?
I think he's having like
Oh,
problems
okay.
with the microphone.
Well, whoops. Apparently, it's this one, also called a Hataraku Musubu-san. Yeah, no, I didn't read that. Let's see. Going on. This one, I really wish this one was translated because it kind of looks up my alley. Sort of a slice of life, almost like steampunky. People in the town of the moon rising.
Okay,
But
yeah.
unfortunately, that was one of the ones that was untranslated completely.
My computer hates me. I'm back.
It's okay.
Revived.
I read
The one I really wanted to read was The Magical Girl of 30.
Oh yeah,
like the art.
Right.
I've heard about the author. Like someone has been recommending me one of his manga for 2 years, and I don't know, just the art just looks fun.
Yeah, that was another one I was interested in reading. I didn't actually pick it, but I was like, oh,
No, it isn't translated, I think. So yeah, I couldn't find any translations of it.
I actually, let's see, I went down a bit of like a Yuri rabbit hole. One day I just picked up 3 or 4 Yuri series from the pile and just tried reading them. So it was Anemone is in Heat, I believe it was. That was pretty cute. Very like sweet and saccharine though. This is one of those like absolutely everyone is a great person, the most understanding person in the world, and everything is fantastic. So it's kind of cute though. The skirt rings at the landing was a ballroom dancing Yuri manga. So I only read like a single volume of it. The thing is, I don't have a lot of experience with Yuri manga, but I kind of got the feeling when reading these that, well, these are there is a formula here. The Summer You Were Here was actually a bit more interesting because it kind of dives into the topic of bullying from a like bully's perspective, and you can very certainly go wrong with that approach. I remember seeing a documentary once called "When We Were Bullies," which is one of the most awful things I've ever watched in my life. Are you familiar with this one?
No.
So it was basically just a group of adults who had been bullying a guy like way back in the day, and they were just talking about how like that was how like that experience was for them and how awful it was and how much they regret it. And then they sort of actually managed to get an interview with the guy at the end, and they talked to him, and he basically said, "Why are you doing this? I don't want to be in this. I've moved past this. I don't want any part in this." And they basically went, "Yeah, but it's not about you. This series is about us, okay, and how we feel." And then I just sit there and go, "Wow, yeah, you didn't change at all. It's been like 40 years and you're still the same." And it was played completely straight. But yeah, that was a massive sidetrack there. The point was that I think this one was actually done fairly well, and it does show. It's mainly about the girl who was bullying someone, and not necessarily knowingly, but she was sort of really tormenting a girl and sort of driving her to change schools, and feels really bad about it later. This one is more in the silent voice, in that I think it's a pretty good look at it actually. Okay. Let's see, The Coppersmith's Bride, cute, wholesome romance. Some of these, that's all I really got to say about it. If you're into that, then it's good, but that is also everything that it is. Yeah. Okay, RJ, we'll take one of yours.
So have two left, and one is called Last Carte.
Yeah.
The
It's this
veterinarian one.
Yep.
That's kind of it. It said that he discovered, if I remember this correctly, the white-haired boy, the main character, he sees a bunch of dead crows in the park, and he discovers he has supernatural powers. And that's why I read it, because I was like, oh, what's the power? I want to know what it is. Turns out his supernatural power is the fact that he has really, 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 really good memory.
Oh, so Emanon.
Yeah.
I've read that manga.
I'm like, that makes this less cool because it's just a veterinarian manga. And if you like saving animals, then this is for you. Not really my cup of tea. So I kind
It's a veterinary manga?
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
his friend works at a vet with his sister, and he goes to work at a vet with them. And it might delve into other supernatural aspects. He might not be the only one with powers, but I didn't get that far. So
I'm just curious because my girlfriend is a vet, so I may recommend this. Well, I mean, I need to read it first, but I may recommend this to her.
I think last time when I was compiling the list, I think this was one of the ones that was untranslated at the time. So I guess how many chapters were there? Oh wait, RJ's gone.
He's back.
I was gonna say, how many chapters were there out of this?
And he's gone. He doesn't want to answer that question. Nope.
No, okay, I'm gonna give up on it. In that case, I think we only have one left that we've read, and I kind of want RJ to be here for that one, so nope, not gonna happen. Okay, I'm just gonna start then. The last one I want to talk about is Demons of the Shadow Realm.
I recognize that style anywhere.
Yeah, it is very recognizable. So this is Hiromu Arakawa, I think her name is.
Yeah.
The author of Full Metal Alchemist and Silver Spoon. And this is her newest work. I think it started about 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And has a couple of volumes out right now. So you must at least have heard of this, right? Have any of it sort of crossed your path?
No, I've heard about it. The reason why I didn't read it for this list, some of these manga I just kind of prefer to read it when they finish. So like a Narakawa manga, I just rather just kind of wait and see. I still need to read Silver Spoon.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Yeah, same here actually. I haven't read that. But I really liked this one actually. I've never really heard that many people talk about it. It's kind of in the same place I find Asadora, the new Naoki Urasawa manga, where it's by a really, really popular author, but just not that much buzz is going around about it. But
I need to buy Asadura's volumes. I need to buy Asadura's volumes.
Yeah.
Because I need one to read it.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. But yeah, so this one, it is, I mean, she brings everything that she's good at with this one. Sort of very, like, light-hearted shonen manga that she does really well. And I think it has some pretty interesting characters, very interesting dynamics between them, or I should say fun dynamics. I haven't really gotten that far into sort of delving into the deeper backstory behind them. But so what this manga is about is sort of this isolated village that is up in the mountains that sort of lives way in the past, hunting animals with bow and arrows, and sort of an old-timey village. And you kind of get the expectation from the first chapter that it's going to stay that way. But then the village comes under attack. And it is getting attacked by attack helicopters with machine guns. And then you kind of realize that, no, this is actually not an old-timey story at all. This village has sort of been sealed and completely isolated from the outside world when it's actually taking place in our modern times. And I really enjoy the sort of the interactions that the main character has when he comes into contact with the modern times. It's a really like fun source of comedy when he and also these ancient gods that are on his sides sort of tries to figure out how how the metal horses that everyone is riding around in actually works. Yeah, this one is a really fun time. I kind of wished I'd read, like, completely caught up with it, because then I'd probably have a bit more to say, but I read about two volumes, I want to say. And I think this can definitely go places. Yeah, really fun read. I really wish RJ was back now, because...
I
so
think he's back.
Back.
Okay, you're back. Great. So you read this one as well. Can you give me its Daemons of the Shadow Realm?
Yeah, which interesting English translation. What is Yomi no Sugai? Yeah, no. Read it because, of course, author from The Alchemist had to check out her recent work. I definitely think it has potential. I would say it is a little for the chapters I read, like the first 7 chapters, it's like you can tell that she's really trying to establish this world, because it's very important that you understand what exactly is going on to kind of enjoy the story. So it is a little exposition heavy, but she kind of parries the exposition with, in the middle of action shots, or like doesn't drag at all. Because she knows what she's doing. It's not her first rodeo, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
she's been around.
So, yeah, I definitely think it has potential. I haven't really caught up. I wish I did catch up, but I also kind of see what Crash is saying. How it works kind of better as a complete binge, and reading it weekly or reading it monthly, whenever the chapters come out. So maybe I will wait till it's completed, but it definitely is a very interesting like take on like fantasy meets real world, and it's a fun read so far. It's a fun read. I don't think it's reached its peak yet at all.
No, it's. I mean, it is the same with Full Metal Alchemist. It's a lot more fun early on, and and the thing is, she's very good at both the sort of action comedy parts, and also when she decides to pull out all the stops, then at least with Full Metal Alchemist, she knows what she's doing. So I'm really looking forward to see where this one goes.
Definitely has potential. Hope my computer doesn't cut me off this time. I don't think my computer agrees with my manga taste. But
okay, so I think we have gone through all of it now. That means that once again we're going to sort of pick out both our favorites and the ones that we think has the highest chance of actually winning. So I'll start with RJ this time. I think we started with Crash last.
I'd say my favorites, top 3. It's kind of hard. Versus for number 3. Yomi Guy for number 2, and then the Akabane bodyguard for number 1.
Okay, interesting.
I think I already said my thoughts on Yomi Sugai. Versus as well was very interesting to me, but the Akabane bodyguard was it's like sometimes you just need to sit down and just read like a classic shonen, right? And just have that classic shonen feel. Like I said, it does nothing revolutionary, but what it does well. So that's why it's in my number 1. And what I think is gonna win, it's gotta be between Cypher Academy or Ichinose Family. My vote would be Ichinose Family.
Okay, and you think Cypher on second then?
Yeah.
And do you have you want to throw out the third place as well?
Third place? I don't really know. Third place probably Goku Rakudai. Yeah, if not first place or second place for Goku Rakudai. But I think Ichinose Family is going to take it for first place, just based off popularity and concept alone.
Okay. Okay, I think I'll go next then. I'm gonna say first place. I'm gonna say Bless. I really like this, and I think that is probably my favorites out of all of these. Second place, I'm gonna go with Daemons of the Shadow Realm. And third, should I go with the trashy incest manga or the trashy harem manga?
Trashy incest.
I'm gonna go with the trashy harem manga. Mikado-no-san Chimai wa Angai Choroi. To be fair, Versus probably deserves it. And if I was, I would probably put Versus up there as well, but that's gonna be my top 3. And I'm gonna say, for my predictions, I think first place is gonna go to Cypher Academy. I think this, while this does have a lot of, it's now open for international votes, I think it's still probably a majority Japanese. And I know one thing about the Japanese, and that is that they love wordplays. So I'm gonna say that Cypher Academy takes number 1. For number 2, I'm gonna say Gokuraku Guy. And for number 3, I think Versus. I think the name, one's name, is gonna be enough to carry it to third place. So that's gonna be my prediction.
Gotcha.
Okay, and Crash?
I guess top 3, starting from number 3, would be Cypher Academy.
Okay.
Then Tamon-kun, and then Fabrican 100. I think was my favorite. As for the ones I think are gonna win, yeah, I think Cypher Academy, either number 1 or number 2. I can see Gokuraku Guy. I can see that one actually winning, because even though I haven't read it, I've been hearing about the manga and the one-shot for actual years now. I think it was like the most popular one-shot on the list, in my list a couple of years. Last year.
It's definitely a manga where you just look at it and you want to read it. You just when you see the character designs.
Yeah.
And looking at some like previous winners, I can see.
I think you dropped out a bit there.
Sorry, I think it was because of motorbike. Probably my dad passing by the window.
I see.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
okay.
It's fine.
So, but I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, other than Kuraku and Cypher Academy, I think third place probably might be Ichinose as well.
Okay, that's down. That's a very jump oriented.
Yeah, it always is. I mean, I can see Versus being third place though, or the Arakawa manga, because those are also by like popular artists, but probably not. I mean, Versus maybe people love one, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I hadn't heard about it. I didn't check it out.
Yeah, no, I actually heard about it first when I checked out these awards as well. So like only back in June, May. So I was really surprised that has flown by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I heard about it when it was announced, but it didn't make any waves after it was announced. Everyone was like, "One's got a new manga," and then after that,
nobody
I
cared.
guess it came out. So.
But okay, I think we made it through, and we managed to stay on the estimated like 1.5 hour. We only went about 1 hour over it.
Okay.
We're currently sitting at 2.5 hours. But yeah, I think we got some. I think we had a really good talk there, and I had a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for coming out. It was a pleasure to have you as the first ever guests on the Avant-Garde channel.
Hey.
Very nice, thank you.
Hopefully
So,
there will be more to come.
My plaque in the mail, or like how does it?
Yeah. I'm gonna need you to buy this stock of me. and I'm going to pay you back. Okay. Well, but it was a great time. I hope to have both of you back in the future, at some point
Of course.
Anytime.
when the chance arrives. But yeah, and thank you all so much to the people in chat for coming out. I had a great time. I'm going to try to be streaming a bit more this for the rest of the year. Maybe like twice a month, something like that. I want to try to do that. So hopefully I'll see you again then. And this has been Avantgarde, and I'll see you next time.